You're showing live on my end, Mark.
I'm showing out live.
Yeah.
For
Okay,
8, 9 seconds
we're,
now.
we are live. Okay, good deal. Thanks for you all's patience. This is Mark Anthony Dyson, the Jobs Scam Report podcast, and we're back for another episode. Kind of watching everything because all the connections kind of going crazy on my end. If it seems like we're going in and out, it's a little slow because it is dragging just a bit, and we're doing the best we can. You guys understand it's technology. Welcome to the first time joining us, and if you're joining us back. I want to welcome quickly my crew members. Jay Jones, sir, how are you? The profiler.
Doing all right. How about you? Glad to be back.
Doing well, thank you. And Jay just had me change his numbers from 28,000 to 31,000 fake jobs removed. And probably that second number 6,000 might be a little bit different too. So I don't know how close you're keeping tabs of that, Jay. But we are grateful for all the work that you're doing here on LinkedIn. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Honored to do it.
All right. And Ashley Price Horton, APH, what's good with you, ma'am?
I am doing amazing. Glad to be here with you guys.
Yes, and it's great seeing your clients get hired, which is wonderful. I meant to catch the
Yeah,
video you
congrats on
just
that. Yeah.
posted. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing to be able to have people break through on that industry, right? Especially when it comes to cybersecurity, which we're all
Yeah,
about
and
here, right?
we just passed the $2 million mark from the start of this year to now. So that's in, 6 months. So everybody's been putting in a lot of work, a lot of effort, but they're reaping the rewards. It's worth it.
Yes. And if somebody could help me keep my eye out for Russell Irby, we're hoping he was able to join us when he can, sometime during this stream. So we are going to
Hmm.
go forward without him, not because we want to, because I just got the message and we didn't have time to change direction here or even postpone it a little bit. So I just wanted to go ahead. I'm sure he'll understand. He's a flexible guy. We love him and we miss him, but we hope he'll join us. So let's begin. Lots of noise on LinkedIn and other places as well. I do want to kind of cover outside the LinkedIn stream first because LinkedIn is just one spot where a lot of things are going on. I think one of the things that's really happening is we have to talk about layoffs and what's that looking like and how scams are beginning to appear to people being laid off. Now there are some chunks that are happening. The one big chunk I saw recently, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, where had layoffs, and I think they're going on their third or fourth round. Maybe somebody can correct me in the chat, or maybe one of you guys. But I can see how that's going to really affect people in their perception of coming out into this workforce, brand new laid off, and they're getting all these offers, and they may even look somewhat real, as do
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
Maybe you guys have some insight into any other layoffs that are happening, and you're seeing how scammers are using that to kind of fool people.
Yeah. Microsoft is planning on laying off more people. And then also, I saw reports about Lululemon as well. So those two are pretty
Yeah,
big.
so the Lululemon, yep, that's pretty big. Yeah, I think they're cutting off like 15% of their workforce or something significant. I think anything over
Hmm.
1% is significant, but um, Lulu's big, Microsoft is huge. So 5% for Microsoft is a lot different than Lulu, and both of them are kind of big. But we're talking about tens of thousands of people. So how about you, Ashley? What do you guys talk about in your group when it comes to layoff, and how are you advising people when they hear those things? They might be applying to that company. Has that happened? I'm sure it's happened a couple of times at least.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Do you mind if I give a little bit of insight for the first one that you asked me and then go to that one?
Absolutely. Please.
Oh, awesome. You might have to remind me of the exact website, but just for people, if you ever want to see what companies are about to lay off a good amount of their staff, there is a WARN website,
Hmm.
WARN. I was trying to pull it up right here so I could
Uh-huh.
get it. WARN Act, right? If you type in WARN Act on Google, you can get some insight as to what companies are preparing to do mass layoffs.
Awesome.
And just as you'll have access to this, scammers will as well. So that's how they can easily target who's about to be laid
Right.
off.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
It's a public government run website, I believe.
yeah, and the companies are required to give advance notice, so they already know in advance before they're going to
Right.
do these major layoffs. As
Right.
far as inside of my group, we do things a little bit different. So within the realm of cybersecurity that we're in, this industry is expected to grow exponentially, and it's also thanks to a lot of these scammers and hackers and all the technology advancements. So
Hmm.
within information security, what I tell them is to focus wholeheartedly on your job search. Don't get distracted by the layoffs. Don't get distracted by how the job market is. But keep in mind the practices that I've taught you about avoiding job scams because they're out here. And yes, it
Hmm.
adds a lot more time to their job hunt, like significantly more. But they at least come out of it knowing that the job that they've received is a real one.
Yes. And by the way, to add to that, I think layoff.com, or it might be layoff.com, is a site where you can look at some of the rumors uh, of of what might be coming, and people actually talking about it a lot. And there's a couple other sites too. I'm sure somebody's going to let us know in the chat whether what those sites they may even listen to. But I know a lot of people, and you guys know this too. There are a lot of those tech companies have formed like alumni groups of those companies. Like the three of us. This is not publicly yet, but we're going to be speaking at one of them in October, where they formed a group, and some of that chatter is going around in some of those groups at this former employees of Microsoft. I heard even, and I think that
Hmm.
there's some others, and they chat about what's going on and opportunities and things like that. I think those are very useful too because people really get to hear some of the people from people who are really have been or still might be on the inside somewhat. So definitely keep that in mind. Um, Anything else you want to add, Ashley? By the way.
No, but that layoffs.com is really good to know. I'll make sure I keep that.
Yeah, layoffs.com. They often you got to kind of catch the different cycles. There's a lot of threads. It's sort of like Reddit, but not as unhinged in some aspects. But Reddit is also a viable, good site to kind of listen to the murmurs under the earth, so to speak, too. If they have
Yeah,
some
they'll tell you the truth,
dedicated they,
unfiltered.
the unfiltered truth is what they would tell. And I just want to acknowledge Jared Jackson, who joined us, probably one of Ashley's people who often join us in chat. They're very vocal and love to give us a lot of great information too. So, just want to continue on. But the idea that the great advice you give is exactly what really all job seekers should do. They shouldn't focus and get distracted on the news from their job search. They should focus on their job search. Having said that, though, I think a lot of people should also kind of keep their ear to the ground because you don't want to go into positions where they might have laid off a whole department and here you are applying. You should definitely try to be informed. Would you agree with that, Ashley?
1000%.
Yeah.
1000%. And so for me, when my clients are in the application process, they're putting out their applications, and then they're starting to hear things back. That's a big piece. You got to do your research before you
Hmm.
even get in there. Because, like I tell them, don't think that every opportunity you get is a good one. You got to make sure it's a good fit for you. And so you need to be on Reddit. You need to be on Glassdoor. You need to be looking at the forums and the chats and seeing what people have said, so you know what you're walking into should they give you an offer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to add anything to
Yeah.
that, Jay?
Yeah, always ask why the position is available, because that will reveal a lot in it of itself. Because if the position previously had a lot of people that were in it and then they leave, then that's a sign that there's not a stability there, or it's not the best environment to get into. Um, and if they start to like stumble or get a bit unsure of what they're saying when you ask that question, that's a tell that there's a problem there that you should potentially avoid. And then I see Jared, he asked the question, did you say Warren Act? And yeah, actually, she did say Warren Act,
Yeah.
WARN. And so,
Correct.
yeah, not to be
Yeah.
distracted, because, it's a lot going on in the world. It's a lot that is weighing on people's minds, hearts, spirits. And, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is every 28, 30, or 31 days, depending on the month, bills are due. So keep that in front.
Right. Right. And people are going to have to learn to adapt, and you may have to adapt and mold yourself differently several times a year, because it's going to
Mhm.
look different if you go from being unemployed to a contract or a temporary position. And some people use temporary agencies still. Then it'll look a lot different should you go that to being full time within that company. And it's going to look a little bit different again if you got to come out of a long term contract situation. So all of that to say is
Mhm.
that you're going to always be moving. This is going to require more of a dynamic job search, if I can use that term, as opposed to static, where you're just waiting and you're waiting and there's no time really to wait, especially when the 31st day hits and on some months. So I think that's even important to mention. Let's move on a little bit. And I do want to talk a little bit about some of the newer, fewer red flags, which some of the red flags are really old red flags, if you know what I mean. Because it seems like there's I don't know, you guys tell me what you're seeing as far as red flags, but it seems like people are going back to 2022, where, the fake
Mhm.
employers, they're beginning to
Mhm.
come in, that's kind of 2022. We go back a little bit further, especially around the time of 2021, the better.com era. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but those are the guys
Mhm.
that laid off all those people through Zoom. You
Yeah, I
remember
remember that
that?
guy. Yeah.
And everybody just went
Yeah.
off. Notice how that's a regular thing now. That's
Yeah, that
become
was like the
almost the
first major
norm.
one. Yeah.
That was like the first one. Everybody's in shock. Now people are, I think they're getting layoff notices via telepathy. I don't know if, but has not gotten a lot better. But I think that is playing on some of the psyche of the job seekers. We talked about layoff PTSD before in a couple other podcasts before. I know I've mentioned it in my solo cast. But are you guys seeing something kind of a little bit of old and a little bit of new with the scams that you're seeing, whether it's
Yeah.
online, offline, by phone? Go ahead, Ashley.
Actually, it's funny because I still am getting those text messages, the text message scams where they're like, hey, we
Right.
have this job opportunity, but it's leading with a lot more empathy now as opposed to how it used to be. There's with
Mm-hmm.
so many layoffs happening today, it'd be really good for you to be able to make an extra $100 to $300 a day. And I'm like, okay, so that's your play now. I actually got one like that this morning.
Oh, did you
And I don't
really?
Yeah, I said, okay, they actually text me more. I don't get as many emails. And I just
Mm-hmm.
block, more and more come. It's absolutely crazy. Other
Right.
Mhm.
people, now I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Other people that I know have been getting a lot of right to represent email. So it will be an email.
Yeah.
It will be an email telling them they have a job opportunity for them, but before they can give them the details or submit their information, they have to sign this right to represent.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
Russell Irby question too, right? I mean, that's kind of a. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, my answer is multi-layered because when you talk about going back in time, it relates to the pictures that these scammers steal. It relates to their methodology when they approach people
Hmm.
with scams because they know people have a short attention span, a short memory. And so
Right.
when something worked in the past and enough time has passed, then they'll bring it back because it'll work again.
Hmm.
Regarding the email scams, like I've gotten the right to represent for different roles, and it makes no sense because if you reach out as a recruiter to me with a position, then you're authorized to represent me because you were the first one to contact me, and you don't need to sign anything because that's a way to get your signature. Then apply that on different, legal documents and pretend to be you.
Hmm.
I get emails regularly. Like the other day, I got an email stating that my portfolio website, the payment didn't go through, and you need to go here to actually correct it because your URL is now blocked. All I had to do was go and type in my URL, and there it is, still functions. But they use the
Oh,
official
that's
logo
wild.
of the domain host. Um,
Hmm.
and then when it comes to the pictures, that was the other part. That's what it was doing. The empathy that you mentioned, Ashley. I've seen people say on their GoFundMe request and whatnot, they'll start to target.
Hmm.
In a case called the donation saboteurs, and so what they do GoFundMe's, they'll go and say like, "God bless you. I know it's really hard right now, but I had with this specific person, and they helped me raise X amount of dollars." And so what they're trying to do is have you go to this person, give some personal information, and then siphon money or even directly steal it from you. So it's a lot
Hmm.
of multifaceted, wicked stuff going on.
Right. There is
And then
now.
really quick,
Yeah. Go
Jamonica,
ahead.
she
Go
asked
ahead.
what is the RTR about? And basically what that is when recruiters have a position that is available to you and they say they need you to sign a document saying they have a right to represent. And the way they package it is they're basically marking you as their candidate. And so if anybody else reaches out to you from that same organization with this position, then they get first dibs, is from what the way I understand it. But if it's an organized recruiting company, they don't even need to do that. Like, hey, I reached out to this person and this commission, if this person is placed, belongs to that, recruiter. So yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, I think that's great information. 'Cause this is the first time I've heard of a RTR, uh, offer through scammers. But I'm not
Mhm.
surprised that they're using everything in their toolbox. I go, I go back
They
to.
stole the toolbox. It's not their toolbox.
Well, they're kind of reinventing it and kind of make it look. I think people need to be aware of some of the new technology that goes along with that because it's going to look a lot different here soon. Uh, Google just released in the past month video, the ability to create a video without having real people involved. And these images they look as real as they possibly could be, and they talk. If you guys have not seen that yet, look up Google VEVO, I believe, or VEO. I think it might be even VEO3. And even though it costs to get that, for a scammer to use that and to get paid, it pays for a year, a couple of years, should they be able to get a hold of that and get through to people, which they're going to. They're going to be victims of that, which kind of leads me back to some of the old scams that were done. And I again point to the better.com on that because I was reporting on it to some degree that when people were getting scammed around 2021, they were able to have interviews with a real person, and they would actually have people moving around in the background where you can see. So you could
Scripted
talk to a real
walk-bys.
person, but exactly, it's kind of scripted, and it looks so real that you can't help but to believe, okay, he's just in the background, and his workers in the back, and people walking back and forth to the desk, and doing whatever they do, sort of like The Sting. If you ever saw the movie The Sting, where they set up this real thing and it was live, and it was all to make these people believe something, and of course to cash in. And that's kind of what scamming is going to look like. So what we're seeing now is going to be kind of like child's play when it comes down to it. So I think people need to really, again, slow your roll if you see something, and ask people and look for the signs. And again, they're going to present themselves most of the time out of the blue, randomly. And I don't know, it's probably better these days just to ignore them. Pretty much, right? I mean, reporting them doesn't seem to have as much as an impact as, just being able to block them and ignore them. You guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Ashley.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I have some people who used to like engage with them to let them know that they know they're a scam. I'm like, please don't do that. Just don't. Even if you get a text message and you have
Mm-hmm.
identified early on that that is likely a scam, please don't open it, because there's software now that you can see when somebody has opened a message. And if you have pictures enabled on your Google account, a person can see when you have opened their emails as well. So turn that off. Only turn that on when it's coming from a credible person. But I always say, like, ignore it, block it, delete it, don't keep it,
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yep. Yep. Jay, you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, that's awesome info you just shared, Ashley, about the being able to see the pictures that you open and stuff like that. Because yes, it might be funny and the type of feeling of vindication that you've exposed a scammer, but the way technology is going, just by even opening an email or something that you think is benign, that could be actually detrimental to your personal information, your finances, and everything. And it's just like when it comes to blocking on LinkedIn, like, yes, that works. But the problem is when you block them, they just get to move on to somebody else. And there's no like
Right.
flag trigger. There's no alert. There's no actual information being passed on to other people who are vulnerable. So this is why I encourage people to always report, to always post about it, like say, hey, this is a fake profile, to comment on it, because when you mention their name, when you tag them anywhere that they appear in searches, if somebody is searching for that profile to vet whether or not their recruiter is real, because I've had this happen several times with the artisan talent scam, where basically they're pretending to be a real recruiter who works with artisan talent and are reaching out to people with job opportunities from Disney, Unilever, and another place that's
Mm-hmm.
a company with a lot of cachet. And so what they do is, if a job seeker is like, hey, I think this is awesome, and so they search, then they'll see my post connected to that artisan talent stuff. And I get messages pretty much every week from people saying, thank you, that I almost fell for that. So this is why I encourage that blocking is part of it, but it's not the most essential part. The most essential part is reporting it.
Yeah. The blocking only just blocks the account. It doesn't. It doesn't prevent others creating another account and reappearing before you again, because
Mhm.
basically they're just doing that at scale, pretty much. So even though LinkedIn says they're getting, they're blocking and they're working on millions of deleting millions of fake accounts, there's probably millions of more that are just coming up, becoming it almost unsustainable for them to even keep up with. That's why I'm not on the blame LinkedIn train as much
Yeah.
anymore. I just know that their capabilities, they're handicapped until it really goes dark. Then there's maybe a major thing that will be done.
I
But
agree with
Well,
you.
I mean,
it's
Because, like, I think about LinkedIn when they first came around. Artificial intelligence wasn't a popular thing. It existed, but it wasn't a
right.
popular thing like it is now. And so, yeah, people had to manually create their accounts. They had this no bot policy. They could detect it quickly, take accounts down. But when you have AI that can create accounts within seconds, I don't understand how they're able to identify all of these accounts, which means that it's people like us that have to be vigilant in protecting ourselves and those, who are in our network. because I don't think that LinkedIn is ever going to be able to figure out a way to remove even half of the scams that come out now.
I don't think any of the social networks would be able to do it. Not even X, because it's, you can have multiple accounts on X automatically. So can you imagine? There's no IP blockage like Facebook and Instagram, where they can block the IP, give you part of a chance, but you still can recreate an account. So definitely. So we should talk about, though, as well as many things I like to talk about. I think people also to keep getting hacked on any social network, but we're on LinkedIn a lot. That they need to really take stock of their password usage and using password managers, and do all the things that to do, right? Um, I'm going to mention just a few of them. Like when you're applying for jobs, try to use one dedicated for your job search, uh, um, a voice over internet protocol, a VoIP. I was trying to think of the acronym. Use a VoIP
The phone number, yeah.
A phone number, right? Don't put your address on a resume. Thank you.
No.
Please and thank you. And just be careful in what information you're giving. A lot of times resumes contain way too much information than they should. Did I forget anything? But I think that those are the basics of things, because those are exploited publicly, even maybe not to the general public, but to employers and recruiters at mass and large. Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, and sorry, Mark, there was like a little bit of a delay, so I thought you stopped. I didn't want you to think I was talking over you.
Okay.
So what I like to tell people is don't reuse the same password ever or at all. Have a different password for every account that you create. This way, if anyone becomes compromised, all of them don't become compromised. Change your passwords if at the least every 6 months at this point. And you might be thinking, well, but I've got 30 accounts and I've got to change. Yes, change all 30 of them every 6 months. Go through, delete the accounts that you're no longer using. Try to use some kind of a password manager if possible, but a reputable one. And the other thing is do not use the super easy, like make sure your password has letters, numbers, digits, right? Things that are going to be hard for it to break. So not your kids' names, not your partner's name, 1, 2, 3, none of that. And the reason why I'm saying this is it's not always common sense about how your password should be, right? And so also enable multi-factor authentication. So that's when you put in your password before you get access to your accounts, it's going to send you some kind of a message or what have you. Make it go to your email instead of your phone, because God forbid you have to change your number or you lose that phone. It's a nightmare to get back into your account.
Right.
And then the last thing is when it comes to your email, don't reuse that password anywhere. Your email password has to just be the email password and change that frequently.
Yeah. I use Bitwarden, by the way, for a password manager. I don't know what you guys use or if you use any at all, but Bitwarden is pretty.
I'm old school.
In fact, a lot of theirs is pretty free. They have free accounts for Bitwarden, so it's something to think about. I always try to get the paid version of something, so I can have the extra security and have access to all the tools they have available. So that is a suggestion. I know a lot of people kind of, was using LastPassword. I don't know if you remember, but then there was this mass exodus because they had a break-in. It's like, so pick a reputable password manager, please. Anything you guys want to add?
I see a question from Jared. He asked, when a company asks for your address and is required in order to proceed, how do you not put your address? A potential workaround, because I know he's talking about those 3 different fields where they need the address line 1, line 2, city, state, and then the zip. I mean, a workaround, if it's a legitimate company and you don't want to provide your address, you can use the leasing office's address or If they don't accept a PO box, like use the address of the nearby post office or something like that. But I mean, if it's a legitimate company and you're sure that this is a real opportunity, then by all means share it. But I talked about this in a post many months ago called address bias. And basically what it is if, because this has happened to people, like if they live in a certain area, but they're trying to like better their life and move into a different opportunity, a different, basically make more money than they've ever made. And they need this opportunity to get there, but they currently live in a space that's not the best. And if somebody looks at their address, then they could have some perceived biases. And the backstory with that was, I remember I went to the bank one time and I was making a cashier's check, and then the lady made a funny comment. She was like, "Oh yeah, it's a nice area." And it was like, well, how do you know my area? Because she didn't live anywhere near me. And that was a tell that she Google mapped the address. And so it was like that triggered the thought to, if you would go as far as to look and see where I live because I'm getting a cashier's check, well, then why wouldn't an employer do the same to see like where you live and then make preconceived notions based upon that to deny you opportunities? And I was trying to encourage people not to do that, because just because somebody might live in a different or challenging environment, it doesn't mean that they're not worthy of a shot.
Right. I agree. Just because they're not supposed to doesn't mean it doesn't happen, or it doesn't even happen on a large scale. I have other thoughts about that, but I'm going to spare because I want to get through a lot of this. I want to get through a lot of this. Go ahead,
Just don't
Ashley.
do that on government applications. Like if you are applying for federal government-based roles, everything needs to be 1,000% accurate. Okay, because you could be held criminally liable for any misrepresentation. So I'm just putting that out there because I know some of you guys.
That one is the exception. Yeah,
that was the exception.
But
I am going to add, though. Because I've talked. I don't know if I've talked about it here on the podcast. I thought I had, but there are fake federal resume writers, and you giving over a draft of your federal resume, they have not only access to all of your information, but all of your history. You just given them,
there are plenty of those fake pages. Yeah.
And I was going to say, you're giving the scammer, carte blanche for them to be you. Yeah. Especially when it comes to an employment application somewhere else. They can recant your history. It could all be correct. It could all, it could be verified. And the only difference is they may not have seen their real face, but your real face, probably they have that information through maybe a LinkedIn profile, your Facebook account, some other social account, or something from the past. People use it all the time and get by. Look, don't fall for those fake people who are saying that, we do federal resumes and we could redo yours so you could qualify for this, that, and the other. Don't do it. Don't do it.
And there's one
everything and everybody. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, there's one key thing when it comes to the resumes, the federal ones, because they recently announced that they're cutting them down to 2 pages now to modernize the application process. And so that's a gold mine for scammers. They're like, hey, I can help you cut it down from 4 to 2, because if you've always done 4, then it's tough to condense all of that into just 2 pages. And, they can come and get you and be like, hey, happy to help condense this for you, because, fake resume writers, they'll steal the about sections, they'll steal resume templates, they'll steal certificates, anything from a real resume writer that they can steal, they will. And then what they'll do is they'll either undercut on pricing or outright just copy the same thing and sell it at the same price, or maybe even a premium. And, with that, they get to con you in at least 3 or 4 different ways. So,
right.
They charge you over $1,000.
That's great.
Yeah, federal, they get to say it's a premium process.
Well, if people who don't know any better, a federal resume can be anywhere from 2 to 25 pages traditionally. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, because I used to work I trained federal employees once upon a time on resume writing, and there was one I was rewriting for 20. It was 25 pages, everything at least at that particular time. So we'll see exactly how that goes. I wonder how if that's really a blanket, how they'll apply that to all the federal agencies, or if it's just the certain ones that the 2 page rules. I'd be very interested in knowing more about that. I do want to get to some of the comments though that people have chimed in. James Rose, always faithful. Thanks for giving us. And he's also, you guys follow James as well because he posts some very interesting information. Did you guys see how the guy, I think it was James who sent us the one about hacking a password? I thought that was really fascinating. If you haven't looked at that one, check that out. That was educational. And that's one way. I think in some cases, people can use to help use a VPN whenever you're in a public setting like the Starbucks, the hotels, and so forth. Use a VPN. You
Mhm.
should use a VPN as often as you can anyway. Some may argue even if you're in a residential area where the internet traffic is pretty high, um, that might be something. Even though they argue how viable they are for residential. Um, I just want to highlight something he said. I know one of his comments was he agrees with Ashley, her advice about the government not to, well, even the government advises, to never reply to a scam text message for sure. Some of this is slow, so some of these I'm going to read because it's not appearing on the screen as fast as I would like. Connie Nelson, thank you very much for it. Says, I have never received a text message or email other than applications I've received. I've already applied to 99% of the time. I go directly to corporate website, which is one of our best practices, right? So I think that's important. I think, Jay, you already answered Jarrett's question about what's required and where to put your home address. But
Mm.
yeah, all of those.
The
I just
link.
want to be sure to get those in. Um, so if you guys have anything to add before we go to our last two topics, we'll probably be able to get into
Well, yeah,
because I
James's
do.
comment that's on the screen.
Right, yeah, the LinkedIn will have to be hacked as and lose a lot of money from a breach. Then they'll take it more seriously. Pretty much.
Yeah, I've seen I've seen
Pretty much.
200 plus, if not, I've seen 200 plus, if not 300 fake profiles, but they're all verified. Most of them were premium and they all had age on them. Like, so from at least 6 to 7 years old. And a couple of them directly said in the subject line or the headline of those profiles that this is a hacked account. We're working on taking it down was one. The other
Uh-huh.
one was this account is hacked in all caps and like 6 or 7 exclamation points because those profiles all pretended to be human resource business partners for Deloitte. And so basically they
Right.
were using the reputation of Deloitte to roll out these profiles over time to start scamming people. A couple of current things I have out there about link source recruiters. This is a fake recruitment company. Recruitment company.
Mm-hmm.
They steal pictures, but these people are a bit more tricky because I'll never accuse them of being smart. But basically, what they would do is they'll flip the image, then they'll put like a beautification filter on top of the face. They'll
Mm-hmm.
zoom in a bit because if they do these things, then when you do a reverse image search, you can't find it on Google. And then lately, what I'm finding is Google image search is less and less reliable, so I have to go through other means to find it. But
Mm-hmm.
there was one particular story that stood out was the one of the women who was she had her picture stolen, but it was taken off of her Facebook account because she was hacked there. And then what they did was Swift tickets to people via Facebook, and she had to start a whole nother account and say, "Hey, I'm not selling Taylor Swift tickets." But in that post on Facebook, they had tagged like 90 people. And this is one of the things
Mhm.
that I continue to tell people about is like they'll go and pretend to be you and then go and try to
Right.
scam other people. And so that was a real
Yeah.
world example of that. So yeah, it's already been a breach.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is, there are companies that invest in ads and in the LinkedIn recruiter tools and all that. I would think that they want to speak up a little bit more too, because that's a big revenue source for LinkedIn. I mean, and I think by that way, they would get some of the clues that, hey, maybe we should do some more about a lot of these fake accounts, because these fake accounts, they're using their recruiters to recruit for positions that don't exist. And then so you'll see the recruiter come in and says, yeah, we're not hiring, they're lying, in so many words. But maybe the bigger companies need to put some money down on their voice, so to speak, and say, hey, this could cost you millions of dollars. So just a thought. Meantime, let's switch a little bit to we'll go for the next 9 minutes. Have you guys seen deepfake videos on LinkedIn or anywhere else yet? Because they're
There's this
around.
gentleman I there's this gentleman I saw. I forget his name, but he's like a cybersecurity expert, and he talks about the advancement of deepfake videos, and makes warnings about how high quality they're becoming in such a fast time. And like if you look
Mhm.
at them, you really like, because there was one video where it was a fake I think it was a fake car ad, and it was driving through like a creek and going over rocks and stuff, and like if you didn't know that it was fake, it would look like a real thing.
Yeah.
It goes
And
it
I'm going
goes
to
back
add
to
to
the Google thing I said earlier. Go
oh,
ahead, Ashley. I'm sorry.
no, no worries. It's that lag. I was on Instagram the other day and a person was playing a prank on their partner. And in that partner, they had their fiance actually kissing an AI person, but it looked completely real. And so when he saw it, he said, who's that kissing me? Who's that kissing me? And I said, oh my God, just wait. Relationships are going to be destroyed if people are not aware of this type of technology, because you would never
Right.
be able to tell. The hands weren't morphed. There was no like immediate giveaways that this wasn't real, except for the fact that she was the one that created it.
That's wild. And I've seen a couple of others on LinkedIn that I didn't take, because this person was really explicit in saying this is a fake whatever. But going back to what I said earlier about Google and their new product, these look real. I mean, they show crashes, they show dialogue, people respond to what other people are saying, and it could be one of the most dangerous tools that the scammers could possibly use. So I think, again, going back to people verifying everything that they possibly can. James Rose said that I did see a LinkedIn short video busted deepfake AI during the interview and immediately shut down the interview. I think I saw something similar to that on another
Yeah.
platform as well.
Well,
If you put that in the comments, we need to see that.
I
James,
saw
Yeah,
it
you put
because
I
that in the
the
comments
guy
so
I
we
saw
yeah,
it
can
because
see.
the
James, if
guy,
you can.
he was sitting like this, and he would not move because the way the thing was, it was like programmed to his face to be stuck like this. So he was
Right,
like, "Hey, put your hand up. I put your hand like right here to do this to prove you're not AI," and he just put it like to the
right.
side of his face.
I've
I
heard that
remember
people
now.
say, people said, wave with your hand like this. They can't do it. It would break
Yeah.
their program or blow up their laptop or
Not
whatever.
yet.
But
Not yet. And that's what people need to be aware of. It's not yet. So people used to say, like, oh, it's never going to be a problem because they're never going to get, better than this. Their hands are never going to be not morphed. Their feet are never going to be not morphed. But you're
it's
seeing that
coming.
with it. Yes.
It's coming. Everything that you didn't think that we'd be able to do, it's coming a whole lot sooner than we think. So that's why we try to keep everybody on top of the curve or ahead of the curve, as they say. Um, any of you want to add anything before we go? Like Ashley, you have anything coming up? Any podcast interviews? Any projects that you're working on that maybe everybody should know?
Yes. So we are actively working to get to our 3 million in job offers with the goal being the
Mm,
end of July. So definitely follow me on LinkedIn and stay tuned and help us cheer on those who land job offers. I also, share a bunch of job opportunities that pop up as I receive them.
hmm
As far as talks, we have one coming up in October. Just be on the lookout for that. And yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah, for me, I'll be speaking in July with BWise to help them with strategies to avoid scams in the job market. I started a
Nice.
podcast, so that's going well. I started a newsletter about 2 days
hmm
ago. Got 2,000 plus subscribers to it, so I'm excited about that. What I'll do
Nice.
is continue to share insights and things that will help people, be stronger in this time because it's just an avalanche of attack from all sides. We didn't touch
Right.
on the 16 billion passwords that were leaked. So that's another reason we talk about
Important.
changing your
Yes, indeed.
password using two-factor
Yep.
authorization or multi-factor authorization and password manager and whatnot. But there was also another thing where this will actually enable scammers to be able to apply as fake people because you've touched on that before, Mark, where they're fake
hmm
applicants. I had a source for a previous case. She's been in the recruiting industry for many years and talked about a wave of fake applicants. And at the end of the application stage, they need to have a visa or need to be hired through a third party. So that will definitely uptick with this data breach. So
hmm
um, just follow all of us, and we're doing what we can to keep you informed and safe.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And congratulations, 2,000 subscribers. That's pretty
There you
quick.
go.
Yeah.
Hey, I
I
was
know,
I was
right?
surprised, but thank you.
Yeah. Winning, winning, winning. And let's see. Um, tomorrow I will be releasing, actually this afternoon on video, and tomorrow through the podcast. I spoke with Lance Spitzner of the SANS Institute on cybersecurity. Just some quickie advice on text messaging scams and how to stay safe there. So look for that. And I've got a couple other things that are kind of under the ground brewing, but I can't be public about it yet. So, but I'm pretty excited about it if it comes through. But that's all
It
I'm
will.
going to.
It will. It
Yeah,
will. It will.
I'm manifesting this absolutely. But I'm being realistic. That's why you don't say anything till it goes down. And and on top of that, that's going to conclude our episode for this LinkedIn Live for the Job Scam Report. Thank you very much for joining us here. Thank you, Ashley, Jay. Russell, we miss you. We're going to hit you up next time. And, work is work. He found a job since, by the way. That's why he had a job related thing since he was last on with us. So great for him. It's better
Yeah,
to be
congrats, man.
there than here overall. And, wishing everybody well and to stay safe and vigilant for the job search. So thank you very much. Sorry for the rocky beginning. And thank you for all who commented. James, Connie, Jared, and those are the ones that I see. I don't know if I see any
Jamonica
others.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, Jamonica and Jamonica Greg. Yes, thank you so much for commenting. And if you have any other questions, still include them in the chat because we go back and check them and respond to them if you have any questions or anything like that. Thanks very much. You guys have a great week.